relax as you listen to CFS Adventures. Welcome! Today we will be going over a paper that discusses basically what CFS is. Okay, and this is from the Mayo Clinic. So I'll put this link right here in the description below. So if you want to go back to read it, this is exactly what we're reading. I just clicked the download PDF and we're on this page over here so we can, do things with fancy buttons and such. We can draw smiley faces. Yay! So that's what we're doing today. We'll be going over this, annotating it a little bit. I have not read this whole thing yet. I've read a little bit of it, so I'm excited to go through it with you. This document is a bunch of people. It says over here, let me go to the highlights. Let's do green. 21 clinicians specializing in ME/CFS convened to discuss best clinical practices for adults affected by ME/CFS. So this is basically a whole bunch of people, as it says. And then this article just summarizes all of what they talked about right here. Okay, so we're just going to continue onwards. So let's go for blue now. We're just going to mix it up. Okay. Myalgic I can't even pronounce my own illness, / chronic fatigue syndrome, ME/CFS, is a chronic multi-system disease. Multi-system, I feel like is the key word here, affecting millions of people worldwide. Great. But despite its high prevalence and disabling nature, medical education programs rarely cover ME/CFS, and guidance for practicing clinicians is often outdated and inappropriate. So standard tests typically return normal results, which is true for me. All of my tests I've ever taken are normal. They're like, oh, you're sick? Take some tests. Perfectly normal. They're like, are you sick? Well, that's what I was like. I was like, is it just in my head? I don't understand. Well, it's not. But then clinicians and also patients, me, sometimes can question the legitimacy of ME/CFS or just are wholly unaware of that is even a thing. Okay. Which means up to 91% of affected people are undiagnosed or misdiagnosed with other conditions. Okay. And obtaining a diagnosis is really hard. Even after you have a diagnosis, it's really hard to get good treatment. That's what this says right here. Oh, also, this is kind of important, is that cognitive behavioral therapy and graded exercise therapy worsen their condition, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This was a treatments prescribed prior. They have been now they're not recommended anymore. Obviously, like, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy is an awesome thing. I also do it, but the way they were using it before was like they thought people were just scared or like having like a fear of getting out of bed or like doing things, but instead of being actually sick, because they couldn't find any evidence through tests that people were sick, so they were like, just you have to go to a psychologist because something's wrong with your head. But no, actually, like, that's not true. So this is great for like anxiety and depression, and I use that to help me deal with being chronically ill, but it's not gonna like solve my problem. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. This is important. In 2015, the United National Academy of Medicine created a new ME/CFS clinical diagnostic criteria that required the hallmark symptom of post-exertional malaise, or PEM. It amazes me that this was not a symptom before 2015. 2015 was not that long ago. The CDC have adopted this new criteria, and have removed recommendations for cognitive behavioral therapy and graded exercise therapy, which, the same thing up here, and have begun to incorporate the best clinical practices of ME/CFS experts. Yay! Okay, these couple of paragraphs to talk about how COVID-19, like long COVID, can be also sometimes goes to CFS. Sometimes it doesn't actually, like the patients don't actually have CFS entirely, but they have some of the same symptoms, and so can benefit, from similar stuff like pacing. Okay, that's just talked about COVID. So we're gonna skip all of that. This is, I don't even know how to say that word, but I looked it up earlier, and it's basically the WHO. We're gonna make this green. This paragraph talks about the who has this illness, etc. Okay. So, WHO. It affects a lot of people, millions of Americans, okay? Well, or 800,000. Basically, all ages, ethnicities, genders, and socioeconomic backgrounds, but some groups are disproportionately affected. Like women, average age of onset is 33 years, but it can be, old as 77, young as 2. Blacks and Latinxes, and people who have had illnesses, like an infectious episode, for example, COVID, which we talked about over here, are more likely to have CFS. We're gonna skip that part too. Okay. Impact and prognosis of ME/CFS. Let's go orange. Okay. Myalgic encephalochronic fatigue syndrome substantially impairs, this is important, substantially impairs occupational, educational, social, and personal activities. The degree of impairment can exceed that of rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, depression, heart disease, cancer, and lung disease. Basically, this is just saying it's serious. There is a wide range of severity. This talks about the severities. You can go ahead and read that if you want. Up to 75% are unable to work. An estimated 25% are consistently housebound or bedbound. That's me. I am housebound and unable to work. The level of severity can fluctuate, with 61% reported being bedbound on their worst days. That is also definitely true. Okay, I have a cat sitting on my lap, and she's so cute, but she's really distracting. Alright, let's switch to blue now, just for fun. Okay. Although it is known that patients can be ill for years or even decades, no definitive study of prognosis exists. Prognosis means like how sick you're going to be in the future. Like a prognosis of cancer would be like, are you going to die? Are you going to get better? How long are you going to be sick? That kind of thing. So prognosis of ME/CFS is like, they don't know yet. I went to the doctor and they were like, you could be sick for 2 more weeks or years, or you could be sick forever, and we don't know. So that's definitely true. Yup. People don't know. Studies are limited by small sample sizes, high dropout rates, and short follow-up times. Inclusions of patients with other conditions. Inclusion, yeah, so they have people who don't actually have ME/CFS but are in it. And inappropriate definitions of recovery. A symptomatic review concluded that the only chance of full recovery is only 5%. I read this another time. But here's the thing. They said that's one study. Another one, or one clinical practice estimated that 50% of its patients were still ill after 2 decades. Or second estimated 93. This is like, these are not good odds, okay, that you'll recover fully. Kind of a downer. Temporary remission is reported, but relapses often occur. This is just sad. Patients most commonly report a fluctuating illness pattern in which symptoms wax and wane, but are always present. Specialty clinics for ME/CFS reported that of 960 patients observed long-term developed at least one comorbid condition. Comorbid means that you have multiple illnesses at the same time, like ME/CFS and fibromyalgia, and POTS or something like that. So it just means you have another condition. Additional comorbid, okay, we're associated with worse health. So the more illnesses you have, the worse your health gets, which makes perfect sense. Okay. New diagnostic criteria. This stuff, we talked about the 2015 criteria. We'll go through it right now, but if you just want to go to like the CDC's website, it's literally the same thing. So if you've already know it, like I have gone through this criteria a bajillion times, then just skip this part, okay? But this is literally just it. It is just substantial impairment in function accompanied by fatigue, post-exertional malaise, unrefreshed sleep, and either cognitive impairment or orthostatic intolerance. That's literally it. So those three things, fatigue, PME, unrefreshed sleep, PEM, wow, and either cognitive impairment or orthostatic tolerance. I have all of the above. Yay! Okay, symptoms should be of at least moderate intensity and present at least 50% of the time. That's how you get a diagnosis, is you have to have at least moderate and 50% of the time. So you can't just have like mild fatigue, you have to have moderate intensity. I don't really know exactly what that means, but that's important. Okay, and then it goes on to say a whole bunch of other symptoms that you could have that are common, like pain, like they talked about before, infection, like a viral illness beforehand, impaired natural killer cell activity. I have no idea what that is. Influenza-like symptoms, which I have. Sensitivity to stimuli like light, which I also have. And visual disturbances, yup. GI symptoms, respiratory issues, air hunger, I don't know what that means either. And thermoregulatory issues. Again, like most of these things I definitely have. So yay for me. Okay. Okay, we're just gonna skip all of this. Oh, here's what PME is. I mean, PEM. I keep saying PME. It just sounds, it's like rolls off the tongue better, you know. PEM is hard. Should I just call it PEM? Nah, sounds bad. Okay. PEM is characterized by the following: immediate or delayed onset. This is interesting because sometimes people say PEM is only delayed onset, but apparently it's immediate or delayed onset, which I find to be consistent with my illness. I think the times it's worse is delayed, and that's because I do a lot. Like I one time before I really knew about my illness, like 6 months ago, I went on a run for 2 miles. I came home, I felt great, made dinner, then I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up and it was, I couldn't get out of bed. So delayed. Sometimes literally days after. And sometimes I do something and I immediately, pretty much immediately, or like then the night of, feel bad. So this can be prolonged duration. Yeah, sometimes I have literal, like, I've had sometimes like months, weeks where like something happens. Like I went to the Mayo Clinic, I came back and it was weeks before I was back to my baseline. Just happens that way. Disproportionate intensity. Of course, everybody gets tired after doing things, but I do like a walk around the block and I am sick for days. Like, not just tired, but like severely ill. Yeah, not good, but that's what PEM is. They did a really good job here of describing it, so if you want to read the whole thing, here it is. Okay. Oh, this is nice. Diagnosis requires that the patient have the following 3 symptoms. Look, it has it right here for you. That's very good. It's even a little picture. That's so cute. It says here the recommendation for the term systematic exertion intolerance disease was not adopted. I've heard this term before. You know, we have the name ME and then CFS, and then we also have other names, including, let me just delete this, it's really hard to see. Systematic exertion intolerance disease. Interesting. They say, oh, here we go. Here's interesting. So for PEM, although post-exercise fatigue and muscular skeleton pain are common in healthy people, right? That means you go on a run. Most people are a little tired. Maybe they have some pain, like, you know, you're what do you call it? You're sore, right? That makes sense. But it says the constellation of symptoms such as sleep, memory, concentration, flu-like symptoms, sore throat, and mood are seen in CFS are distinctive. That's so interesting. So that's definitely true. Like I can literally the mood thing though. Yeah, like I'll go out and do something and I'll come back and my mood is like a bungee cord. Yeah, that's what it feels like. And I definitely, all of those things, very true. Okay. The NAM, before the NAM, that's like the 2015. I was gonna 2015. That's not how you say that. Okay. The 1994 Fukuda criteria was commonly used to diagnose, was a diagnosis of exclusion. This is interesting. And required only medically unexplained chronic fatigue, but not PEM or other important symptoms of ME/CFS. Clinicians believed that they had to eliminate every possible cause of fatigue, leading to delays in or avoidance of diagnosing ME/CFS. As noted by NAM, not all patients diagnosed by the Fukuda criteria will meet CFS criteria and will need to be reevaluated. That's very interesting. Yay! I like this paragraph. I really like this paragraph because this is what people often tell me. Probably because this was literally medically what people knew about chronic fatigue syndrome. It was a diagnosis of exclusion. It was medically unexplained. And it was just chronic fatigue. Like, that's literally what people come up to me and say these things. Not anymore, because I'm just in my room, but, before. And that's not true. But this makes sense. Like, historically, there's a reason why people believe this now, because historically, this is what people were taught, So I'm not mad at people when they come up to me and say this, or doctors who believe this, because I'm like, hey, you just don't know. Things change, you know what I mean? Things change. Okay. Etiology and pathophysiology. Okay. I looked this up too. How do I do this again? Oh yeah. Let's go green. Let's go yellow. No, let's go red. I think red is a great plan. Dark red. I think this is etiology is like the why of the illness. Whee! And pathophysiology is like the what. So we're gonna now learn about why the illness happens and what is actually happening. Okay? Like inside the body, the science of it. Super interesting. I'm super excited for this part. Okay? Let's go red. Great. Well, the exact etiology, I'm probably saying these words wrong, of ME/CFS is uncertain. This is so important too, because sometimes people are like, they don't know ME/CFS. Like, I'm like, that's true. Like, we don't exactly know what it is. Exactly. There's a lot of questions. I have so many questions that there's just not answers for. But it's important, in the next part, that studies show neurological, immunological, immune system, autonomic, and energy metabolism impairments. It's not like some sort of disease that no one knows about, has no scientific findings, and we have no idea what happens to the body. Like, no, we do. We do. And we're gonna go and get into it. All of this stuff is about this, okay? So it's important. It's important to realize both, you know what I mean? Like, there are lots of things we do know, but there are also lots of things we don't know, okay? Important. Okay, let's like go through what these words mean really fast. Okay, we have brain, we have immune system, we have autonomic nervous system. This is like the automatic nervous system, so like things that control your heartbeat and your breathing, and it's like the fight or flight or rest and digest. This is what that means. And energy metabolism, this is not talking about like your stomach. This is talking about inside your cells, okay? Like think about the mitochondria and like those kinds of things, okay? Not like your stomach. Okay. So, we're going to get into all of that. Yay! Let's see. Let's go back to yes. Post-exertional malaise and energy metabolism impairment. Oh, I'm so excited for this. I want to know about what this says. Okay. In both healthy and sick people, physical exercise improves fatigue, sleep, pain, cognition, and mood. That's a very true statement, right? If you've been healthy before, which I'm sure most people have, like I loved long distance running and it improved my fatigue, my sleep, my pain, my cognition, my mood. And in most sick people, that's also true. What was sad is that patients with ME/CFS experience post-exertional malaise, which basically makes exercise hurt them, okay? It makes patients that have symptoms and further exacerbates symptoms and further reduction in functioning. Previously tolerated physical, cognition, orthosthetic, emotional, or sensory stressors. So like you can have exercise or cognitive, like you can do something with your brain, like I don't know, write an email. You can have something emotional, you could stand up for too long, you can have too much light or sound. Any of these will exacerbate my symptoms, make me feel worse. It says over here multiple studies have confirmed these accounts. So yay, both patient-reported and physiological outcome measures. Don't know what that is, but probably these sources, if you want to look into them, could tell you exactly what that means. Okay. Let's change color again. In the past, some physicians and scientists speculated that these external limitations were due to physical deconditioning or an irrational fear of activity. While chronically inactive people are likely to be deconditioned, I definitely am, deconditioning does not explain the symptoms of ME/CFS. Oh, hold on. That was a terrible line. I love this. Deconditioning does not explain symptoms of ME/CFS. That's great. Instead, evidence suggests that the problems generating and using the main energy molecule, ATP, if you remember your high school biology, that may be a fundamental driver of ME/CFS. This is interesting to me. If you remember like biology, ATP, like the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, eats sugars and makes ATP, which is used for energy in your cell to make you do things. Yay! So something's wrong with that. And going back up here, deconditioning does not explain the symptoms of ME/CFS. This is why, we're gonna scroll all the way back up. This is why before, when cognitive behavioral therapy and graded exercise therapy could worsen their condition, this is why people thought that graded exercise therapy would help, is because they thought deconditioning was the problem. But it's not the problem. There's something else wrong, okay? There's lots of things wrong, as we see up here. Well, where? There's like 4 different areas of the body that are targeted. And right now we're talking about the energy metabolism, so your ATP inside your cells. Okay. Oh, here's the example of the study. Okay, for example, when sedentary but healthy people or people affected by a number of other chronic illnesses are asked to exercise on 2 consecutive days, energy test results do not change significantly from one day to the next. That's interesting. So well, hi cat. I have another cat again. Oh, she's so cute. Okay. Oh, my brain is kind of going, guys. I think I'm gonna have to stop soon. Actually, I probably should stop now. But this was so fun. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because I'm stopping as soon as I feel kind of bad, even though I want to continue because this is super fun. Okay, but I think we've done a lot of good, and hopefully we'll continue. So far today, we've learned that sometimes doctors don't know what's happening. Part of the reason that's true is because of, where is it? Oh, this diagnostic criteria before that was messing up studies. Because it had all these people who didn't actually have chronic fatigue syndrome in there, in the study. Anyway, and we know that this is a real illness with studies showing certain findings of your body doing certain things, but we don't know exactly all of the things, but we know a lot. Okay, that's what we've learned so far. Yay! Oh, and here are the diagnostic criteria, okay? The new ones, the good ones. So I hope this is a little bit helpful. I hope this was fun. I had lots of fun, and I'll see you, I don't know, in a week, in a month, whenever I feel good enough to do this again. I will continue onward with this paper. I hope you have a wonderful day. Go rest. Go have some fun. Ciao!